time. So they will take back us in the whole of the history, and they will come back and tell us as to where are the roots of emotional intelligence. Over to you, Milind, to introduce our eminent panelists, and then
Hello.
Yes, please hold on. Just hold on, Mr. Milind.
Yeah,
So you can introduce both the panelists, and Rajesh to take over and start off the fireside discussions with Dr. Mala Kapadia. Over to
Sure,
you,
sure.
Mr. Milind.
Yeah. So, good afternoon, everybody. Now, just as there are a lot of good discoveries that are made when we probe into the future, at the same time, there are some excellent discoveries that are now being made from probing into the past. And what we have discovered is that since India is the oldest and the most brilliant civilization, there is a lot of wisdom in ancient India. So we're going to talk about Pradnya, which is more than EI since ancient times. And we have with us two out and out experts, which are Dr. Mala Kapadia and Rajesh Kamath. So I will provide their introductions now. Dr. Mala Kapadia is Director Wellness Practice, Professor and Resident Mentor at Rashtraman School of Public Leadership. She's founder of human potential consulting named Tame the Monkey. Dr. Mala was Adjunct Professor with SP Jain School of Global Management, Dubai, Singapore, Sydney, Mumbai campus from 2005 to March 2020. She's a PhD in literature, and her academic journey is through psychology, human resources, yoga, and Ayurveda, film and video production. Her career has been through research, education, journalism, human resources, and consulting. And her area of research is Indic wisdom for better humanity. Dr. Mala Kapadia has presented and participated in various international conferences and journals. Dr. Mala has been actively involved in a sustainable lifestyle, and she at the moment lives at Nivruti Gram Sustainable Living Initiative by Vaidyagram Ayurvedic Healing Village. Wonderful to have you with us, Dr. Mala.
Thank you, Milind. Namaskar.
Namaskar. And now let me introduce Rajesh Kamath, who is very well known in our training fraternity, and it's difficult to describe how many hats he wears, but I'll still do my best. He's a keynote speaker, consultant, facilitator, columnist, teacher, coach, and lifelong lecturer learner. His purpose is to apply principles from eternal global wisdom to modern organizations. He's known for combining the best of Western and Indian management science to provide leadership consulting, coaching, and learning solutions to the industry. These are a first. He has a rich experience of 25 years transforming people through his thought leadership and training. Rajesh has expertise in building communities. He co-founded MTHR, More Than HR Global, MTHRG, in 2002, and he also co-founded the MTHR Global CXO community. He also founded Living Philosophy Study Group, which helps Indians learn from Indian philosophy in an engaging manner. He has been one of the leading facilitators of the Strategy Academy and a mentor for Pune's University Center for Incubation and Innovation. He is an electronics engineer, an MBA in HR, and a practitioner of Arthashastra, Pranic Healing, and Kriya Yoga. So I'd like to hand over the baton to Rajesh Kamath for taking this session forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Milind, and great honor to be here. Very happy to be at the WEI Summit 2020. I'm sure this won't be the only year we have this summit, though we have begun with a bang this year. First of all, namaste to all our participants, also to my co-facilitator, Mala. I want to start by wishing her a very happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rajesh.
What a wonderful day to have the session.
Happy birthday, Dr. Mala. Happy birthday.
Thank you, Annapurna. Thank you so much.
So Annapurna spoke about fire. I hope it is not the fire in the stomach, which is, alight in everyone's stomach right now. Hopefully, because it's a virtual summit, people can also munch side by side, and we have no problem with that. Okay, you must enjoy every minute of this session. So let me, so Mala, once again, welcome.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Let me start with a story. Okay, and I hope to draw everyone in with this story. This story is about a character, at least in India, we all know, who is called Tenali Ram. His entire name is Ramakrishna. And he was from a village called Tenali. More about him a little later after the story. Let's listen to the story. Now we know that he was in the Vijayanagara kingdom, but the story I'm going to share is not about the kingdom or its problems. What I'm going to share is how he solved a personal challenge, a personal problem. Because after all, you know, we were speaking, I was listening to the previous sessions, starting with the panel discussion, and there was talk of adversity. Sometimes personal challenges and adversities bring out the best in us. So Tenali Ram used to live in a house which was by the side of the street, and everything seemed fine till one day in the night he was woken up with the noise of children playing on the street. And we are talking about playing at midnight. So he was woken up with the noise. Try as he might, he could not get sleep. Like everyone else, he could have taken the option of going and yelling at the children, or maybe warning the children that he will complain to their parents, teachers, etc., or threatening them with dire consequences. But he didn't do any of this. Rather, he went out and he praised the children. He told the children, "Wow, you kids, how well you play this game. And when I was a kid, even I used to play gilli danda like you do now. In fact, I'm reminded of so many games I played as a mischievous kid. I enjoyed it all. And because you are giving me so much of nostalgia, such good memories, I'm going to encourage you to play every day and night." The children were shocked. They were used to being yelled at. All the adults used to tell them, "Please stop, don't make this noise, don't break our glasses," right? I'm sure many are remembering their childhood. And here is an elderly man who's coming and telling them, "I encourage you to play, not only in the day, but in the night." And he adds further and says, "Because you are playing so wonderfully, I'm going to reward you for it." The children never expected this. So Tenali Ram said, "For every week of playing enthusiastically, I'm going to give you 10 varaha, 10 gold coins." My God, the children couldn't believe their luck. Not only were they not being scolded, they were actually being paid for it. So they played with full josh. For those who are joining from other countries, josh is enthusiasm and energy. And they played all day and night. At the end of 1 week, they went to Tenali Ram's house, knocked at the door, and they said, "Sir, at 10 varahas you promised." Tenali Ram promptly took out the 10 varahas and handed it over to them. Oh, they were so delighted. They distributed it amongst themselves, had fun. They played one more week with all their energy. After all, now they have so much incentive to do that. At the end of the second week, they went knock, knock. "Sir, at 10 varas." Now he made a small face and he said, "Sorry, but I'm running a little short of money. I can afford only 5 varahas now." Money is money, 5 gold coins, how can we refuse? So even though they were not happy with it, they accepted it. And they said, "Next week, please, you promised us." The third week, after playing with full energy and enthusiasm, they went back again, knock, knock. "Sir, 10 varas." He pulled an even longer face and he said, the king has not paid my salary yet. So I can give you only 2 varahas. Some problems have continued since time immemorial. I can give you only 2 varahas. They looked at that measly amount and they said, what? Entertain you for such a measly amount? We are not going to play anymore. Forget it. That's the story. Tenali Ram, think about it, friends. Visualize you are disturbed in the night by the sound of kids playing in the street. It raises your blood pressure. You're not able to sleep. You're so tempted. Your emotions have gone awry. So tempted to go and rap a few of them. And here is this man who has taken a different approach. And for 3 weeks, he sacrifices his sleep or gets very little of it to find a durable solution. Enter the wisdom of Tenali Raman of Vijayanagara kingdom. Like many things Indian, everything gets obscured in modern, if I can call it that, urban, what do they call it? I'm not getting the term. But everything gets twisted, and today we believe Tenali Raman was a court jester. What an insult to a great man who was Vikata Kavi for one of the largest empires in the country. This man was one of the Ashtadiggaj, the 8 scholars who were ministers in the kingdom of Krishna Dev Rai, the same empire that was there for 300 plus years. And Hampi, which was the capital city, was said to be the second largest city in the world in those days. And one of the masters in the kingdom was Tenali Ram. Because he had wit, wisdom, and most of all, I'm going to now use the term which we will explore more, Pradnya. He could solve any problem. Now that problem was a personal problem. He solved many such problems. Before I go into our topic, I want to tell you about how Tenali Ram had also got this Pradnya. It's very interesting. There is a little legend to it. It is said that he was a very naughty kid who was not interested in studies. His mother would be upset and say, do something, study. One day, she referred him to an old wise man and said, please put some sense into him. That wise man gave him a mantra and he said, go to that Kali temple in our village, Tenali, and pray to her. Long story short, he kept repeating that mantra till Kali Ma appeared before him, the goddess. And she said, I am pleased with you. I am going to give you a choice of 2 pots. One has got the milk of knowledge, and the other has got the curd of wealth. You can choose one. Story has it that he said, Mother, how can I decide without tasting which one is better? So Kalima, also looking at this young boy, gave him. She said, okay, you can taste it. And before she knew what was happening, he had consumed the contents of both. And here is what he said. He said, I'm sorry, Ma, I shouldn't have done it. But please understand, what use is knowledge without wealth? Or wealth without knowledge? I want to tell you here, knowledge stands for intellect or intelligence. And the wealth is actually the flow of emotions. So when we say emotional intelligence, this is not something that has landed in our laps in the last 20 years. Dr. Mala will be telling you a lot about this because she's worked in both the domains. But we are going to do it in a very different way. And I want to tell you that the same Tenali Raman was the author of 3 scholarly works. And he was the master, and he also had many different titles, all which were a recognition of his Prajna Gunaha. Little later, we are going to discuss what are the qualities of this Prajna Gunaha. Okay, so now I want to go to Mala and ask her a little bit about what is the human composition that perhaps gives many qualities, including prajna. Does it? We've always heard that there are 5 elements, whether it is the Chinese, Indians, or maybe many old civilizations. We speak about 5 elements. Do these 5 elements really make up our constitution, and do they have a role of to play in who we are in our nature? Over to you, Mala.
Thank you, Rajesh. That was a wonderful story. I mean, every time I listen to this story from you, it gives me a different way to understand and interpret or connect with something, right? I mean, it's such a short story, but it has so much wisdom and depth. Now, going back to emotions or emotional intelligence and intellect, right? I mean, like everyone else, most people in this world, I also heard the word emotional intelligence way back in 90s, mid 90s, when Daniel Goleman's book became suddenly popular because it was there on cover of Time page, and it says, what is your emotional intelligence? How does it matter more than IQ? And today, therefore, most people in the world say emotional intelligence is coined by Daniel Goleman. Okay, audio not clear. Let me take this little closer so that
No, it's it's absolutely fine, Mala. I think it's
no. I read somebody putting it on chat.
an individual signal.
Okay.
You can hear very well.
It's all fine. We are able to hear you fantastically. Go ahead.
Thank you. And also, then when I read his book, I realized, because my background is in psychology, and unfortunately, we only teach Western curriculum in India in most of the subjects. So when I graduated, I said, I don't want to continue, because psychology was all about abnormal psychology, or, the path was very different. And it didn't really make me understand what is being human, what is the psyche, right? And then I did my post-graduation in literature, Gujarati literature, that too, where you study Kavya Shastra and Natya Shastra. So the moment, much after that, when I read Daniel Goleman, and when I looked at families of emotions, I said, oh my God, this is nothing else but the Navarasa that we look at in Natya Shastra. And these are the emotions that we experience. However, the problem was that, okay, how do you adopt it, right? I mean, Daniel Goleman gave a beautiful framework for corporate workshops. And even till date, a lot of emotional intelligence models and frameworks are only cognitive. They don't include the full body. Now, even if we go back to Tenali Rama's story, it was not his IQ, right? I mean, you are not using the word IQ, but you kept on using word pragya. And where does this come from? So pragya is a much higher level of intelligence, which is mentioned in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, which is mentioned in Ayurveda, which is mentioned in Upanishada, right? So all our ancient literature in India have talked about layers of intelligence. So IQ, which is only about data or knowledge and information, which is at the lowest level, we need it. However, how soon are you able to outgrow from that and go to a higher level? And then my research in emotional intelligence took me back to Veda. And now we are talking of interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary sciences. Ayurveda begins with Padartha Vijnana, which is quantum physics. And it begins with what you said, the 5 elements, that what are we made up of. So our body and mind, it's all made up of 5 elements, and not just our body and mind. Because Ayurveda says, Pindite Brahmande. So they studied the universe first, the macrocosm, and then they said the microcosm comes from the macrocosm. So everything in this universe is made up of 5 elements, beginning with ether or akash, vayu, and it's very difficult to translate them in English, right? I mean, when you say akash, it's not the sky. It's the Panch Mahabhuta, as we call them. So Akash, Vayu, Agni, Jal, and Prithvi. And because we are here on the Prithvi Loka, the Prithvi element is the most in us, and therefore we have bodies. But there are other lokas, they say in our Shastras, let's say in Varuna Loka, the body itself would be more ethereal. The body will not be as solid. And we needed Einstein to tell us that everything is energy, right? The moment we even look at the word emotion, it is the energy which motivates. So if we are made up of 5 elements, then obviously the first element being Akash, which is blankness, which is vacuum. But it's not Shunya the way the Buddhist philosophy translates, right? Because for the Vedic literature, Shunya, now today we are talking of iCloud and, information, knowledge being stored in iCloud. But Shunya or Akash is the holding space of everything which can manifest. So anything which is already manifested or may manifest, all knowledge is stored in Akash. So imagine if Akash is one of the element of which we all are made up of, then the highest intelligence or pragya is within us. And it's all a matter of, connecting with us.
Beautiful. Very powerful. So I want to ask you further, Mala, now in your work in EI, I'm talking about now as EI, the way we have known for the last 15, 20 years since Daniel Goleman especially popularized it.
Right.
I know that several Western authors had already researched it. But Daniel Goleman requires the credit for popularizing it. Now, having also entered that space, because you have studied both worlds, right? I want to ask you now: is there a need, if at all, for Indians to see that look, it doesn't even end with EI. There is more than EI. How are people going to discover it? If Patanjali has spoken about Sampradnyat in, I don't know how many, 5,000 years back.
Absolutely.
And Chanakya has spoken about Pradnya Guna 2,500 plus years back. And so many have spoken about Pradnya, about something which is, as you rightly said, part of us, part of every individual. So even with that being part of us, we need to convince people that it is there in them and it is beyond EI. Isn't that ridiculous? So what have you attempted to do, and what can we do in, let's say, taking the benefit of a conference like this to popularize and especially make people more curious? We are not here to prove that, Indian is better than Western. So participants, that's not our aim. But I'm going to request Mala to share a little bit about what little effort can we make for people to perhaps discover and find out a little more. What has been your experience, Mala?
Sure. Thank you, Rajesh. I did 2 certifications from the West. One from 6 seconds in EI and another was EQ map. Both are wonderful. However, I realized that both are cognitive. The West is so IQ led and so left brain, right? Very logical, rational, intellectual dominated, that even when they graduate from IQ to EI, they call it EQ because Q is the measurement. How we say in corporate that what can't be measured cannot be changed. Now, I've never heard such a ridiculous sentence Look at the nature around us. Look at the tree outside your house. Can you count the leaves on the tree? You can't. And yet the tree is changing, right? And the tree speaks to you. The leaves tell you if they need more water, they need more sunlight, are they properly rooted? Is there enough nutrition in the soil? Right? So we may not measure it, but intuitively, and this is where pragya comes in, that intuitively, the moment you connect, and this is where the connection from the heart comes, not necessarily from the brain. So the journey of the West has been only from the brain, right? And
Agreed.
now even Howard has started talking of evolutionary psychology. So when they say evolutionary psychology, they say that our brain is a result of our evolution from amoeba or reptiles to the human brain. So all the memories from the reptilian existence, from our Stone Age stage till now, is all here. So that means brain is, how does the brain function? Anything that we take in from the environment, the five senses take it in, it reaches the brain. Brain creates an association, opens up a file and gives us a command, right? And therefore, I think brain is very intelligent. However, brain only looks at the stored, who made our brain. Yes, of course, I can come to that, Shaila. Thank you. And that's where Ishvara in Patanjali comes. If I fast forward, who made our brain? And that Ishvara is in the heart. And it's beautiful that Ishvara is not God. I think the worst part is that we have not understood our Shastras. We read the translation in English by foreigners to understand our own Shastra. Right? So the Ishvara is somebody, and then there are, as you are going to describe Pragya Guna, the Ishvara is somebody who has achieved these qualities in his or her life. Such a person is Ishvara. That means Ishvara is a person, any person who has accessed the inner Pragya. And I realized both the certifications made me realize that I can know about anger management, but I cannot manage my anger. It's still a cognitive skill. So the moment anger is coming up, I'm not going to look at what is the framework, what are the tips, what are the techniques. The anger just overtakes me, right? How in Bhagavad Gita it is written, Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha. So we really get into a sammoha state, right? And this is where I realized that I must do little more research on what is mind, what is psychology, what is body in Ayurveda and yoga. So my research on emotional intelligence took me back in Ayurveda, reading Charak Samhita, Sushruta, Vagbhata, and going all the way back to Atharva Veda. And Rajesh, you'll be surprised, in Atharva Veda, there is a sutra which says, Hriday aur sir ko pirona chahiye, which means we need to integrate the heart and the head. Imagine, I mean, our Shastras, Indic wisdom, has all the knowledge that we really need to live well.
Correct.
However, it's unfortunate that we have not created framework out of that. We have not created simple curriculum, which from school age, we can start giving it to children, right?
Perfect. So that brings us to the point, before I go back to Mala for other chats, that brings us to the question, then is there a framework at all, or are we going to speak about prajna as something that we need to access and you cannot get a fix on? So I want to tell our participants today that fortunately, the great Acharya Chanakya has put a framework to this, because Chanakya had to create Akhanda Bharat, a kingdom, and he put his own well-trained protege, which was Chandragupta Maurya, at the helm of it. He was trained for it. So naturally, he had to create a reference material which not just Chandragupta Maurya, but all the future kings could access. That document became Kautilya Arthashastra. And Kautilya is the other name for Chanakya, and least to do with the fact that he was Kutil. Another misconception. But I won't get into that. But he comes to a point where he says that even though the king is called a Raja, the Raja needs to become a Rajarshi or a Swami, who is a leader who has access to that same Ishvara within. Okay, I am building a link to what Mala said. And hence is able to become much more than just that ruler, can become a leader in the true sense. And in that, he has given 51 qualities of leadership, which today we would call as competencies. It goes well beyond competencies, that's a different thing. And it's also there in 4 categories, to use the modern term we use, clusters of competencies. Within that, one cluster is called Prajna Guna. And friends, please get your pads, pen, mobile devices ready, because I'm going to share that with you now. And this is a tool you can use every single day. What are those 8 qualities? They are a continuum. It starts with a term called Shushrusha. Now, Shushrusha has many meanings. Over here, Chanakya does not mean care. Here he means the hunger to listen, the desire to truly pay attention completely in the need to learn. The first step, mind you, no Shushrusha, no learning, no wisdom. Do you have the hunger to learn? Then comes logically listening, which he calls Shravan. I was just trying to see if people can think in their minds, because the Indian month Shravan is named after the faculty of listening called Shravan. And Shravan is listening with all your body and not just with your ears. So when you have Shushrusha, Shravan happens. And when you listen so deeply as listening with your whole body, then Grahan happens. And Grahan is absorbing. Your listening is so deep that you absorb. And I know I was the one itself who said, please put this down. But in those days, all learning was a mental activity. Nobody used notes, because every sound created a vibration that helped you remember it. So Grahan is the third point, absorption. The fourth is Dharan. Dharan is the ability to retain much of what's absorbed and then begin to slowly assimilate it. So Shushrusha, Shravan, Grahan, Dharan are the first 4 parts of that continuum called Prajna Guna. Now let's come to the next 4 parts. So you have absorbed so much and retained a lot of it. Now what do you do with it? Think scientists. You have gained some new learning. What do you do with it? You start playing with it in your mind. So the mind makes associations to past experiences and future possibilities. This process is called Vijnan. Now Vijnan has many meanings, mind you. Here it is not science. Here it is building associations. And you can literally imagine a scientist who is tinkering with ideas in a lab. That Vijnan is happening in the lab of the mind. After Vijnan come 2 terms, 2 steps, one after the other. Uha And apoha, uha is like you are tinkering in the lab, think that you are playing with solutions. You got a new solution. Now that is uha. Right? You picked up what you wanted. Apoha is you keep the remaining solution, you don't throw it away. You put it on the shelf, say, I may come back to it. So apoha is shelving off whatever you were working with for the time being. So uha, selection, apoha, keeping aside. And finally, we come to the crystallization of that idea, which becomes very, very fine, laser focused, which is called Tattva Abhinivesha. Tattva is the essence that you got from that, and Abhinivesha is speaking about focusing on that. Now, imagine that it is a funnel. You began, yes. You began with Shushrusha, you were taking in so much. But now you kept converging. You probably have one or two ideas to pick, just the way Mala explained her entire research of yours. But I'm sure every time she reads some new Shastra, for example, it kindles a lot. But then you pick up one thing and say, this is the most exciting right now to work on.
Exactly.
And it would be interesting for people to know that even this, in some ways, I found a parallel in modern life, in modern management. It's called the DKIW pyramid. Data to knowledge. No, sorry, DIKW, very sorry. DIKW. Data to information. Information to knowledge. Knowledge to wisdom.
Wisdom.
Wisdom is the time you start really crystallizing insights. So now I'm coming back to the 8 points and I'm just repeating what each of it, the closest English meaning could be. Okay, so we start with Shushrusha, which is the deep desire to learn. Then we come to Shravan, which is listening with the whole body. Then we come to Grahan, which is beginning to absorb what's being said. Then we come to Dharan, which is retention of what is absorbed. Then Vijnan, which is playing with the ideas that were absorbed. Uha, which is selecting which are some of the best things over there. Apoha is to keep aside that which we don't want to work with for the moment. And finally, we come to Tattva Abhinivesha, which is the crystallization of the one or two things which are firmly focused to work on. Now you link it back with Tenali Ram and you can see that he could pick up insight from everything. What are the possibilities of someone like me or you who would actually be able to figure out the kind of solution he worked out in that story with children? I don't know anyone who has done this. And not just this, there are plenty of instances where Tenali Raman has been able to solve the most challenging problems of the kingdom with this Prajna Bham. Okay, I thought I'll just share that with you. This is a framework, by the way, everyone can practice. It takes a lot of time. If you are truly interested, I'll leave my mail ID. We have a checklist around each of this, which will give you an idea of checking, do I do any of it? Last point before we go back to chatting more with Mala. Please realize that today in India, we are downloading and cutting and pasting. Much more, ask yourself, much more than what we are creating and uploading and giving the world. Is it any wonder then we have diluted our Prajna Guna? Because all the time we are using others' knowledge. When will we start? Anyways, so that's the provocation I wanted to give you. Start immediately after this. See what can we create? What can we develop for the world? So I want to go back to Mala and get a little bit of her thoughts on this. And is this something that you have seen organizations use? Are there any examples of maybe educational institutions which you are closely involved with or individuals? And you can even share how perhaps we can develop it more in companies. Thanks, Tejal, for sharing that mail ID. Very happy to be sharing this framework with you, and we can give you more inputs on it. Yes, Mala, over to you.
Thank you, Rajesh. Yes, I have been fortunate enough to have taught emotional intelligence based on Ayurveda and Patanjali Yoga Sutra way back in 1999 at the Wellinger Institute of Management, the HR specialization batch.
Wow.
And it was great fun because it was a HR small batch. We could just sit down in a round circle like a Gurukul style, and we evolved our own method, because as I said earlier, it's not a cognitive skill, right? And I would give them very creative assignments, because even I was evolving the curriculum. There was no set, as you rightly said, I could not copy paste a curriculum, right? I had to design a curriculum. So I said, okay, let's look at Yama and Niyama in Patanjali Yoga Sutra. So now, if I want to implement, as you gave this Pragya framework, if I want to implement Yama and Niyama in my life, can I create a framework? Can I start writing a journal?
Right. Please go on. We can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Can I start writing a journal? And then week after week, can I look at it? So let's say the first one is Satya, Ahimsa, right? So in our Shastras, as you must be knowing already, Manasa, Vacha, Karmana. So nothing is just cognitive, right? But in your thoughts, speech, and action, behavior, we have to implement Satya or Ahimsa or any of the Yama or Niyama in all three levels. So self-observation. Right. Because then self-observation and reflection time with self becomes the base, becomes the foundation.
Wonderful.
Over the years, even in corporates, I've been able to give them this model. So I realized that when you want to create transformation in an organization, only information will not help. And therefore, we have to engage people there, not just the brain, but their body, mind, heart, right? And when that is involved, that's when the engagement starts coming up. That's when they start realizing that, one second. That's when they start realizing that, oh, I'm prone to more anger. And how do I observe myself? Okay, till now I was not even aware. I was getting carried away, or I don't even express anger. I suppress anger. I withdraw and I become very quiet. But then my shoulders start hurting. I develop headache. I develop acidity issues. And not speaking up doesn't help, because then other people start taking you for granted. So either way, I need to learn to come in between, right? Not on either of the extremes. Right. And that's where this framework of self-observation and then leading to self-management.
Superb.
So basically take Daniel Goleman's 4 competency model, because people are very familiar with it. And your comfort is with what you are familiar. So the moment you look at awareness, action, self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. So in self-awareness, then I help people do an assessment based on Ayurveda. Because we spend so much money in India on all the psychometric assessments which have come from the West. While Ayurveda has a much more deeper assessment.
Exactly.
Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, which is again based on 5 elements. 5 elements combining into 3 dosha.
Right. So, Mala, I'm going to interject just for a minute to get more out of you.
Sure.
I wanted to ask you, when, again, I'm using Goleman's framework because you alluded to it. When he says self-awareness, would he mean it in the same way that we speak about it in Indian wisdom? When we talk about Svadhyay, when we talk about deep abhyas?
No, absolutely no. You are right. Yeah. See, that there the difference is self-awareness is only becoming aware of your behavioral pattern. Now, if we draw an iceberg, behavior is only tip of the iceberg. But most of who we are is below iceberg. And that's why you use the right word of swadhyaya. Swadhyaya has two connotations. One, a self-study, that, okay, nobody's giving me homework, but I do my own study. Swadhyaya, I take responsibility for my learning. However, if you divide the word again into two, swa-adhyaya. So it is studying my own self. That what is my pattern? Let's say today morning I have missed my breakfast. And if the fire in me is going higher and higher, then by lunchtime, and Charak Samhita actually says that people with high fire in them would start eating up the person in front of them. So we have to keep that fire controlled to become a yajna. So our Indian way of looking at everything is much deeper.
Right.
It's not behavioral, it's not cognitive, because behavior change can happen only when the deep-rooted sanskars are changed.
Beautiful. Beautiful. In fact, it makes me think, and I'm going to share at the end of maybe our conversation one more story, but it makes me think that in that case, if we take the first instance of the Tenali Ram story, is it possible that he would have not felt upset when he was woken up in the middle of the night with this loud din outside? Possibly not. So that means what you just referred to, he was so self-aware that he knew exactly what was happening within. And he reined in the fire rising within him to be able to think, what method can I employ over here, which is not only going to work now, but which is going to work in the long term. Is that a fair thing to say?
Absolutely fair thing to say. But for that, we need to go back to the childhood of Tenali Rama that you mentioned. Right? How did his pragya or intelligence develop? Not by studying school.
Absolutely.
Right? The mantra sadhana which he did and Kali's blessing, right? I mean,
Correct.
Now the world is talking of spiritual intelligence, isn't it?
That's
See,
right.
this is the main difference, Rajesh. The path of the West and the path of the East are different. In the West, they begin with the tangible and then they go up higher to they try to then visualize the intangible. But for us, if you go to see from Vedas till now, we begin from the intangible.
That's right.
So even simple like Panch Mahabhuta, we don't begin with Prithvi Tattva, we begin with Akash. And then we come down to Prithvi.
Correct.
Right? So in India, the best part for all of us is the West creates paradigm shifts. Therefore, even in their science, Newton said everything is mechanical, right?
Correct.
And everything is working in mechanics. And then Einstein totally rubbished it. And he said everything is energy. Isn't it?
Correct.
Same way happened earlier, they said Earth is the center of the universe and the sun is going around. Well, we knew from Vedic times that there are so many Brahmanda and our Surya Mandal is only one of them.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's where we go to Tenali Rama's story, where what his download of knowledge from his own sadhana.
Right.
And a mantra sadhana, which is much more powerful, given by a guru. And then blessed by a Devi.
Right.
Because, I mean, look at the levels from where divine download has happened in his life.
Beautiful. So, in fact, let me also say this. Even the creation of stories is a result of Prajna.
Absolutely.
Because everything that was created by way of stories, right from Vedic times, which we hear so many in the Upanishads, the stories start beginning to develop, to our epics of Ramayana and Mahabharata, to the Puran and to Panchatantra, Hitopadesh and all of that. This is wisdom couched in stories. This is not stories for entertainment. So one of the biggest ways I can advise from my own experience is go deeper into stories, especially Indian stories, and you will begin to develop your prajna. Don't be satisfied with the meaning, the first meaning of the story that you get. Go to the second. When you go to the second, say, this is also not good enough. There must be more significance. Let me go to the next layer. Then you will develop the ability to go to Tattva Abhinivesha and develop that prajna. So Mala, I'm thinking that could we go to take a few questions from the audiences before we come back and maybe just bring it to a conclusion. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely.
Yes. So I'm going to ask Milind, who's our host for this session. Milind,
Okay.
is it okay if you tell us the questions we should take? How would you prefer to do this? Because I know there's things just being posted, lots of it on chat. We are both very tempted to respond to all of it.
So as Milind goes on, I will pose one question, Rajesh. Let Milind go through, because in the paucity of time, I wanted one question which has come.
Yes.
Is there an Ayurveda assessment certification? Could you share more? What is this assessment captures on? Is a question which has come. Maybe Madam can, Dr. Mala, if you wanted to tell about it.
Sure. It's an assessment which helps you understand what is your Prakruti. And Prakruti is combination of doshas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, three dosha. And it tells you what is your Vikruti at the moment, which means the deviation in your health. So what are the health issues that you could be facing at the moment? But it tells you more about your Prakruti, which is what you're born with, which is your DNA.
Right. And
also, Dr. Mala, they're asking whether there is any assessment certification. Probably they wanted to do such a certification.
There is a certification, and Rashtraam, where I'm working, I'm the director of the wellness practice there. We are launching actually a teacher's training, a faculty development program. Level 1, which is participation. Level 2 will give the certification.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
There is also a thought by telling that when there is so much of ancient wisdom available, why is there so much of suffering around? Yeah, I think both of you can answer that.
Because of the lack of prajna. See, the day we begin to stop looking for solutions only from the outside, you will begin to find many more solutions. The world is suffering because of whom? Let's not place the blame outside. It is suffering because of you and me, because we haven't been still able to do something about impending problems. Let's put it simply like that. And we can find all solutions. This is not spiritual. I am telling you scientifically, it is possible for each one of us to anticipate more and more future challenges. That requires prajna. Okay, so please understand the significance of this session is to develop your own prajna. It is not for one fireside chat between Mala and me.
Okay.
Absolutely. So it was a real. Yes, go ahead, doctor.
Yeah.
Sure.
Even in Ayurveda, they say that any disease that we get, physical or psychological, comes out of pragya apradha. I mean, that's the word even Ayurveda uses, that when you are living against pragya, then the problems come. And the pandemic that we are going through right now, in fact, in Ayurveda, more than 3,000 years ago in Charak Samhita, there is a whole chapter on pandemic. And one of the reasons of pandemic happening in the world is our pragya apradha.
There you are.
I mean, and how deep pragya is rooted in our culture.
Super. Thank you, Dr. Mala Kapadia. Thank you, Rajesh bro. And doctor, I think this was wonderful treat for us on your birthday, because people are writing in the chats, we should give you a birthday present, but you have given us. But I think that's so wonderful and so much of jnanam for us. Thank you so much. And I think Rajesh, you should tell that yes, we have, Rajesh runs a lot of programs on ancient wisdom and connecting with a lot of modern management. Please stay tuned. Please attend those Chanakya series and things like that. and it is amazing learning, amazing learning. No textbooks can teach us so much of learning. I'm sure we should have one more masterclass between you both very soon. Thank you so
Sure.
much. Can we have the slides up, please? Thank you. Thank you, Rajesh. Today, it is just a small gratitude of sharing your insights on Indian ancient wisdom. I'm sure, yes, you will go long and we will do much more learning from you. Thank you so much. This is from us. Thank you, Dr. Mala Kapadia. It was wonderful listening to you. From long time, I was wanting to listen to you, and today it is an awesome time that I know we had a lot of conversations earlier, and definitely we will take it more further and go longer. Thank you so much. So we also, yeah, please go ahead. Yeah, we also have planted trees on your names.
Good. Thank
So
you.
yes, Rajesh, we have planted your tree in Uttarakhand in the Himalayas. So thank you for our sponsor, GAPS Digital Solutions, for sponsoring this tree. We will send you this tree along soon. Dr. Mala Kapadia, we have planted your tree also in the most beautiful place of Himalayas, where the Ayurveda is very intact over there. And yes, we are planting it for making it more greener over there. Thank you, GAPS Digital Solutions, for sponsoring these trees and planting it there. Thank you so much. Thank you for a wonderful session. Stay over there, guys. We have the next speaker on, and he is going to enthrall us by bringing happiness in our lives.